Hi everyone, hope everybody had a great Christmas. I'm just going to take the time to do a bike and gear review right now. I should have probably did this at the conclusion of my trip, but I didn't get around to it then, so better late than never. So basically I'm going to start with, in the review I'm going to start with the bike. First of all, I'll go over the frame and fork. I bought the frame and fork separately. Just quickly, I had been a bike mechanic at a truck store for a little while recently, up until recently. So I bought the frame and fork because I had a bunch of good components lying around the house and I could put them to good use. So the frame is a 2019 Trek 1120 aluminum frame. The fork is a carbon Bontrager fork that I ordered as well separately. So if I was going to do some rides like on the Continental Divide, I would probably go with like a Fox 34 suspension fork, but for kind of an all-around situation, I just kind of like how much weight it takes off the bike to have the rigid fork on the front and also the mounting points on the bike as well, attachment points on the fork. So the bike and fork, between the bike and the fork, here and the frame downside of the down tube, and on the upside of the down tube there are attachment points, so you could have up to 6 water bottles, maybe more if you wanted to, or bags for food, dry bags like I'm going to be using up on the front. So as far excuse me, as far as how it held up on my trip, just under 5,000 kilometers, the frame and fork came through with flying colors, no issues whatsoever. So no stress cracks or any signs of fatigue at any of the attachment points on the fork or frame, anything like that. So no complaints there. As far as comfort goes, very comfortable. The carbon fork does help a lot. I will be going to a different handlebar, so my thoughts on comfort are going to have to be reevaluated as I ride the bike. I'll talk about that handlebar in a second here, but the bar that came on the bike, or that I was using, sorry, on the bike, was this Bontrager crevice bar. It only has, I believe, a 25-degree back sweep. So the new bar I'm going with is going to have a 45-degree back sweep. Sorry, 45-degree back sweep. Again, I'll talk about that in a second. So as far as getting back to the frame has a high-low chainstays in the back. What that does is it allows you to put up to a 3.0 tire on it if you want. I've settled on a 2.6 because I find that to be the sweet spot if you're doing a little bit of dirt, gravel, and road. So that's kind of where I've settled on that regards. It also has what Trek, I'm not sure if they're still calling it, I was online recently and it looked like they may have dropped the term stranglehold. But it's just basically where the rear wheel attaches, you can adjust the length of the axle basically. So you can, I forget what it is, I think it might be up to 10 millimeters of adjustment you can make back and forth. And it also allows you to set it up as a single speed if you ever wanted to do that. The bike's not really, I don't know, I guess if you're into single speed you can do anything like that if you want. So yeah, so that's basically the frame. Do I recommend it? Yeah, 100%. It's a great bike, so durable. It's a press fit bottom bracket. I just go with the Shimano XT bottom bracket, just your standard one. I think it retails for about 35 bucks, which I'll touch on again when I do the drivetrain in a second here. But yeah, so that's the frame and the fork, and really not much more to talk about on that. Of course, it's the through axle, front and back on this bike. So the wheels that are on this bike are Bontrager Line Pro 30s. Full carbon wheels with stacked and straight pull spokes, so you get a real strong wheel that way, with the flex you need still to make it compliant when you're cornering and stuff like that. I highly recommend them. I've had these since I was living in Fernie a few years ago, and I used them out there on a full suspension bike and put them through their paces, and I've really not even had to put a spoke wrench to them, so they've been absolutely bulletproof. Absolutely love them. So I'm running Bontrager XR2s, as I said, the 2.6. I have a different tire on the rear right now because there was nothing available. The 2.6 XR2 was not available at that time. So, but I will be running Bontrager XR 2.6s on it again, just for the fact that I find it's a good all-around tire. When you do ride on pavement, it doesn't feel like you're riding on tractor tires. So yeah, highly recommend these wheels. If you are looking for a carbon set of wheels and you don't want to spend a fortune, I highly recommend them. I'm not going to get into put prices on this. This isn't that kind of review. So if you want to check it out, you can go on Trek's website. They have all that info. Really good website. And yeah, so that's the wheels. And then as far as the drivetrain goes, it's pretty simple. I ride everything Shimano XT, and that goes for the brakes as well. Everything on my bike is Shimano XT, including the chain, the bottom bracket. I'm running an 11-speed drivetrain with a 1148 cassette on the back. I run an absolute black oval chainring. At the moment I've been running a 34, but the new one's going to be a 32. I just think that's going to give me a better gear ratio. So yeah, that's pretty much it. I also run Shimano XT pedals, which to me are the benchmark in clipless pedals. Yes, I also ride clipped in, so I use Bontrager 4A, I believe, mountain bike shoes. Decent shoe, kind of gone through 2 pairs, but that's another story. You can check out one of my videos from my trip if you want to get into that. But aside from that, as for the cockpit goes, I am riding the Jones H bar, and it has the 45-degree slope back sweep, and it is a 710 millimeter bar, I believe, but if that's wrong, I will correct that in the description where I'm going to list all these parts. And this is the piece of equipment that I'm pretty excited about. I think this is going to really help me in comfort. It allows me to get in a really good position, a lot of different handlebar positions. It also allows me to sit more upright when I need to, and my neck and back are bothering me, which I have problems with. So yeah, excellent handlebars from what I can see so far. I'm running them on a 90 millimeter stem right now, Bontrager, but I may drop down to a shorter stem. I have a shorter stem that I can put on to see if that helps a bit, but right now they seem pretty comfortable, so I want to leave them the way they are before I make any changes. The grips on it are ESI chunky, and they are the longer grip just because of the handlebars, so that's where you have more hand positions on this bike. They're a foam grip. They seem super comfortable. And again, I haven't used them before, so I'll have to, use them for a little while before I can speak to the durability. But they're a well-known brand, ESI, so I think they're going to be really good. As far as the racks on the bike, on the back I'm running a Bontrager Back Rack Deluxe MIK. It's a great rack. It held up great. All the welds look to be in perfect condition. I mean, there's scratches and wear on it, but the bolts never came loose on it. So in my opinion, it's a great rack. It's got about 5,000 kilometers on it, and if I'm being totally honest, there was way more weight on it than it probably recommends, but that's touring, right? So the front rack is actually the proprietary rack that comes with the bike if you bought it fully built. I would keep my tent on there and a couple other small things, and no issues there whatsoever. Held up great. There is a matching orange rack that comes with the bike, but there was no issues with it failing, so I'm not going to get into that. That's another issue on its own. But I went away from that. Cosmetically, it looks great to have the matching racks, but it's more about durability and not having a rack snap on you when you're out in the middle of nowhere. So yeah, highly recommend that rack. This rack works great, but you have to have this fork. The mounting bolt patterns are specific to this fork. So as far as the bikes that I have on the bag, I'm running this Ortlieb waterproof bag, just the full frame bag. It's a new bag to me, so I haven't used it, so I'll have to give you my verdict on this in a little while. But Ortlieb's a well-known bag company for bike touring, so I'm pretty sure it's going to be good. It's all one compartment, nothing fancy in that regards, but it's going to be perfect, I think. On the handlebar, I have the Ovea Negra chuck bucket, and again, a new bag to me, but it allows you to put a water bottle, food, your phone, whatever you want in it. So it looks like a great company. It's a smaller company from the United States. I believe Colorado is where they're situated. I believe they're made there too, if I'm not mistaken. So the other bag I have on the handlebars is the Jones Jones H bar loop bag. Again, I think I might be miswording that, but I'll have this in the description as well. Again, a new bag, so can't speak to the durability, but again, everything looks good on it. Zippers are great. It's specifically made for this bar, so it fits perfectly in that space, that loop space on the bar. And again, I'll have to give you my review on it further down the road, but I have no doubt that it's going to be a good one. In here, I'm going to put my phone and you know, anything that's important, like extra batteries for the GoPro, bank cards, you know, all my ID, stuff like that. So this bag's probably going to be a real key bag on the trip. So yeah, looking forward to testing out all this stuff out, and I'll give you my opinions on that going forward. The seat post on the bike is a Bontrager XXX. It's a carbon fiber seat post, so it gives you a little bit of that forgiveness that carbon fiber offers from shock and vibration, and it gives you compliance where it'll bend a little bit back and forth when you hit bumps. So this is not the saddle I'm going to be using, so I won't talk about it. I have decided to give the Brooks saddle a try, so I'm going to be going with the B17. I haven't gotten it yet. It's on order, so when I get that, anybody that knows about Brooks saddle, that's something that takes time to work in and get comfortable to your anatomy, so that'll be an ongoing review. But when I get that, I'll be sure to let you see that in an upcoming video or something. I'm pretty sure I'm going to go with the black one. If not, I'll go with the classic vintage looking brown one. So, and that's about it. That kind of wraps up the review on the bike. But again, going forward, my opinion on Trek itself, the 1120, it's a very durable frame and fork. I highly recommend it. My review also involves the fact that I was pulling a trailer with it. I'm not going to do a review on the Burley Coho XC, but if you have any questions, just let me know. The trailer is a great trailer. There's nothing wrong with it. It just, for really long distance touring with heavy loads, it's too hard when you have a lot of climbing or anything like that, or if you have to carry stuff over anything, that's just another thing you have to deal with, right? So works great. I'm going to keep it for shorter trips and stuff like that, but it's not going to come on this one. But having said that, pulling the trailer adds a whole different stress level to the bike as well, and it came through really well with that as well. So that only speaks volumes to the durability of everything that I just spoke about that was on the bike for the trip. So if anybody has any other questions about the bike or my setup or anything like that, feel free to ask me in the comments, and I'll definitely 100% get back to you on that. Anyways, thanks for listening to me about the bike, and I'll get back to you when I start talking about the electronics here. All right, let's talk electronics, which basically means recording stuff for the most part, and charging stuff really. So I'll start with one of the newest pieces of equipment, and that's the drone. So I have a DJI Mini 2, which replaces the Mavic Mini. I'm not going to get into what the differences are between the Mavic Mini and this model, but all I know is this gets great reviews as far as all the improvements over the other one, and it's probably the reason it's the most exciting piece of equipment is because it's going to allow me to have a whole new different level of recording capabilities, very cinematic possibilities with a drone. So that's her. Fun little piece of equipment too, but I'm not getting too carried away with playing around with it because I also need this as a piece of my equipment for my recording. So yeah, so it's a DJI Mini 2. This is the controller. I'm not going to get into all the stuff with the drone because I just got this recently, and you can probably learn more from going on YouTube. There's tons of videos up on drones and that, so check that out online if you want to learn more. But again, with this, I'll be reviewing it as I go too. Even though I'm new to it, I'll be learning it as I go. So it comes with a power bank and 3 batteries if you buy the DJI Flymore kit. So the battery bank also doubles as a power bank that you can charge, you know, your phone and stuff like that off. So in a pinch, you can use it as a power bank. But I do have other power banks that I'm going to touch on in a second here. But it's a nice option in case your power banks are not charged and you want to charge something that's important like your Garmin that you use for navigation. This could save your butt. So, and you need 3 batteries with the drone because the batteries, they say, if you look it up on DJI information, will say 30 minutes per battery. But you're probably looking at closer to 25, maybe a little less minutes. And that's based on tons of testings that I've watched on YouTube where they've tested these and run them to empty, and it seems to be, definitely it's not 30 minutes, seems to be the overall consensus. So next we'll talk about the GoPro stuff, which is obviously a very important part of the electronics and what I do for the GoPro for the YouTube channel. So I use a GoPro Hero 7. I actually use 2 of them, and I don't know, I know there's the Hero 8 and now the Hero 9 out, which are closer to $600 for the Hero 9. I think the Hero 7 comes in at a sweet spot at like about $350, so, and it's an excellent camera. I haven't had any problems with it. I just recently purchased a waterproof case for it, so I'll be able to stick it in the water a little more confidently. You can still put it underwater without the case, but I always get a little nervous trying to do that. In fact, I hadn't done that yet. So yeah, I'm not going to get into all the details of GoPro Hero 7. There's people on YouTube that you can watch that do the electronic stuff for a living as a YouTube channel and can explain it way better than I can. But bang for buck, if you're looking to get into a GoPro camera, I would think this is a nice spot to start at right now. So yeah, highly recommend the GoPros. Quickly show you too, I have about 16 batteries right now for the GoPro. I want to have more like 20, just because they eat up batteries just like the drone, and you need to have them. So I have a mixture of actual GoPro branded batteries and chargers and aftermarket ones. So far the aftermarket ones seem to be really good, and they're a quarter of the price and sometimes even less than that. So if you have a GoPro, don't be afraid to try out the aftermarket ones. I recommend the brands Teslin and Artman. That's what I've used, and they worked well with my cameras. This is the bag for the GoPro, by the way. I know I'm jumping back a bit, but this is the bag for the drone, sorry. And the drone and the charger and the remote control go in there. And then this is the GoPro case. I'm not going to open it up. It just has separate compartments for the cameras and stuff. Not positive that I'm going to be bringing this. I am going to be buying a new backpack that I haven't talked about, and I might put this in if it fits good. If not, I'll take the stuff out and position it in the bags where they work out the best. But I had this on my trip last year. It stayed in the trailer all the time, and it's still basically like new, aside from some wear, scuffs and stuff like that. But you got to consider 5,000 kilometers, so I would say that's a good testament. And I picked up some other little gadgets, like they call it a selfie stick, but I picked up a couple other things like this for the trip. I'm mainly excited about this so I can show some different perspectives of the bike as I'm riding from different angles and stuff like that. And looking to be a little more engaged with the camera this summer, so that'll help out a lot too. So, and I got a couple other things. I'm going to be ordering a new tripod for the GoPro because my other one, I'm not even going to review it. I can't even remember. It doesn't say the make on it. And let's just say it fell apart almost right away on my trip. So I kept it because it worked as a little selfie stick, but I didn't even really use it for that. So yeah, so next I'm going to talk about the Garmin. I have the eTrex 22. Again, with all the electronics, this will be the last time I say it, so you don't have to hear me say it again. If you want to know more in detail stuff, there are people that can do it better than me on YouTube, so go check them out. But as I learn this stuff more too, I will be able to give you more knowledge that I gain as I gain it. So yeah, it's an eTrex 22. You can put routable maps on it. You can do that with a download, or you can put an SD card that's preloaded with maps on it. There's a couple different companies. There's one called Backroad Map Books, I think, and I'm going to probably be using them, and I can get pre-routed maps, SD cards, like for Ontario, every province or state or different countries, everything. So I'm probably going to be getting a couple of those, and I didn't use it as much as I should have last year on my trip, but I definitely will be using it more this year. I'm going to put it to use. It's about $300, I think, so there's ones that are 3 times as much as this. So if you're looking to get into it, it's second from the bottom, but from what I can see, it's a really good system. It just runs on regular batteries, 2 AA's, I believe. And they last forever. It doesn't eat a lot of batteries, so that's the nice thing. And it's no big deal to carry a couple extra AA batteries with you. So again, my review of this will keep evolving as I use it more, and as my knowledge grows with it. So I'll give you my thoughts as I continue. And then in order to power all this stuff, I have bought some extra power banks. I have 2 already, and there's 1 on the way. I do have a solar panel that I use as well. It's the Goal Zero Nomad 7 that I used last year. It's right here actually. So I had used this for the start of my trip, but anybody that has watched any of my videos know that I ended up getting my power bank that went with it stolen right when I got into the mainland in Fort Langley, unfortunately. So I did use it. You can use the solar panel direct to a device, but that's a smaller solar panel anyways. I should have got a bigger one. I am going to get another one. I know which one I'm going to get. I'm not going to talk about that right now, but I will get that before I leave for my trip and put it through its paces to see how it works. But right now, like I said, I have 2 power banks that I already got recently, and I have 1 on the way. One of the power banks that I got is the Anker Power Cell. It's a 26,000 milliamp power bank with quick charge capabilities. It has 5 ports in it, 2 to charge it. It's supposed to give it a quicker charge, but any reviews so far I watched questioned that it's a lot faster because it has 2 inputs for charging. It seems to power pretty quick though. I charged it full, and I've used it to charge my phone a couple times, my tablet, some GoPro batteries, and it is still actually full. I don't know if you can see those blue lights, but yeah. So it is still actually full. So this one is known to be a workhorse and lasts forever at the charge. So I'm pretty excited about it. It does have a plastic casing, but it's very durable. It almost feels aluminum. So, well, again, brand new. So I'll let you know how it works out. This other one is a Crave. I don't know if you can see that. The light's a little blinding. A Crave Plus Pro. A company I'd never heard of before, but got crazy reviews. It's a well-built piece of machinery, or electronics, I guess it would be the better way to put that. It's made out of aluminum casing. So this one doesn't hold the charge quite as long as this one so far. But I'm not sure. If it is, it's not a big difference. Maybe 20 to 30 minutes difference for full charge from 20% on a smartphone. So the other one, this one's 20,000 milliamps. The other one that's on order is a wireless solar capability one, and it's 50,000 milliamps. So between all these, I should have it covered. The only thing I just recently found out though, so people might want to consider, is airplanes don't allow anything larger than 20,000 milliamps, which is the size of this one. So I will have to send this, and because I'm going to have to send some stuff before I leave to fly to Thunder Bay, I'll probably send the bigger power banks and some other equipment so I have less at the airport. Send it to Canada Post in Thunder Bay and pick it up after I build my bike in the airport and go get it. So yeah, really excited about this stuff too. If I have all 3 charged up, I should be able to go for a couple weeks, to be honest with you, without even having to worry about the solar panel. But with the solar panel, when I drain one, I can charge it, and I still have the other 2. So I should really, conceivably, if I'm on top of things, never have to worry about charging my stuff. So yeah, it's money that I had to spend, but I really think this is going to be money well spent in the end. So again, reviews will come as I go. Then I also have other smaller things, like my cousin Jesse and his girlfriend last Christmas, I believe it was Christmas, it could have been my birthday though, bought me this Bluetooth speaker. So I didn't use it as much as I should have last year, because last year my trip became more about learning, and so I didn't do as much of the leisure stuff as I should have, like fishing. I do have some fishing equipment that I'm going to be bringing with me, but I don't have the rod and reel yet, so I'm not going to go over that. I'll probably just go over that in a video on my trip when I'm using it. It's a Fenwick 4-piece rod, which I would prefer a 1 or 2, but for traveling like I'm doing, it has to break down small and be able to pack away like in one of the dry bags that I showed you there. So looking forward to that. And then I also have a couple lights. I have many lights actually. Some of them are Bontrager ones, like this one. It's an Ion Pro RT, 1200 lumens. And then I also have this Nog light that's actually good for filming and stuff like that. So this is about 1,000 lumens, I believe. And I have 2 of these, and I have 1 of these, and then I also as well have rear lights, tail lights for my bike. Even during the daytime, you should probably use at least a rear running light. I had actually, in the prairies, I had a truck driver come up to me and compliment me on how bright my light was, because he was able to see me and he really appreciated that. And I actually, that's nice to hear, you know, that the stuff you're using is actually useful. So. And then one thing just to touch on, when researching power banks, and then I got a new phone as well. I'll really talk about that real quickly now, since it is going to be part of the equipment. I got a Samsung S9 Plus. I will be using that for a lot of my, or all my pictures almost. I'm not going to bring the DSLR, just because cameras are a little more fragile, and for what I'm doing, the phone takes really good pictures, so I think it'll cover what I'm doing. I'm going to keep the DSLR for actual like hiking trips where it's more of a photography based trip. So yeah, but one thing I found out, that most people buy fancy chargers and power banks, but they don't get the full capability of them because they don't use good cables. So I went ahead and they're not super expensive neither. You can go on Amazon and get like 5-packs for really cheap. So I went ahead and purchased a 5-pack of cables from Amazon. They're made out of the braided material, so they're very flexible. You don't have to worry about them cracking. All the connection ends are aluminum, so you don't have to worry about stepping on them like I did one of my other ones and cracking it. I got a couple other cables on the way too that are actually watt rated cables, so like a 60-watt charging cable, which will actually charge all my stuff even faster than it already does. I know these things seem like excessive, but when you're trying to charge stuff in a Tim Hortons and you don't want to be there forever, trust me, you'll be glad you have good cables. Nothing against Tim Hortons, it's a good place to grab a coffee, but not the greatest to hang out for a couple hours. And I did that many times last year, so you end up drinking way too much coffee, right? So, and then there's just, you know, a couple cases I'll have like this with different odds and ends of cables and attachments for the GoPro lights and everything. So it's quite a bit when you look at it all as a overall whole, and it's all got to fit into all these bags on my bike. So again, with all the new bags, I'm not sure where everything's going to go as an end result, but as I figure that out, I'll kind of show you. And if you're using the same bags, it might help you with similar equipment or just figuring out where to position everything. So that covers the electronics. So all right, next we're going to talk bags. So the first bag I'm going to show you is the bag that I use on my forks, or the bags that I'm going to be using on my forks. I did not have these last year. What I was using last year, largely that was in these, was in my trailer. Again, I'm not using that. So these bags are the Salsa anything bag, or I believe it's expedition bag. Again, all these proper names will be listed in the descriptions of the video. So. But looks like a pretty good bag. The only thing that may happen is I might find that it's a little bit too small. So if that's the case, there are other options that I've already seen that I could go with, and I may end up doing. But right now I really like the durability of them. They came with these straps that look really durable as well, that they lash right onto the rack that's on the forks. I didn't talk about that. That is the Salsa anything cage. So they are made to go together. So that's kind of what attracted me to it, is that it's a system. The bag has a flat bottom as well, so it is nice. So when you're, you know, standing, you're trying to put your stuff in, you can stand it up and you don't have to kind of balance it. Just a small thing, but it all adds up. We'll see how durable that bottom part is. So yeah, it's just a roll top closure, folds over and then buckles together like that. So very waterproof. That's the other attraction to these. And again, new product, both the cage that they go on, the Salsa anything cage, and the bags. So I'll just give reviews as I go, like 1 month, 3 months, you know, type thing. Since I'm going to be on the road all this summer, they're going to get put through their paces. So we'll see. The next bag I'm going to show you is the Thule pannier bags that I did use on my trip. So these got about 5,000 kilometers on them, just under. They held up pretty good. I wouldn't say that I totally love them. The attachment method system on the back, it definitely has to be maintained and shown some TLC, because it attaches onto the rack like that, and those things get used so much, and it's just plastic really for the most part. But the thing that really kind of was a little annoying about this bag was the fact that when this material heats up, it turns really pliable, like really, it turns into mush almost, and the bag wants to pull away from the rack, like it wants to kind of go like that. So I was kind of having to tie the bags together from each side. I'm going to keep using them because they are expensive bags. They are a good product. I believe they are the Thule Bike Shield. I kept the cards in here. So it's the Thule Pack and Pedal Shield Pannier. There's different models. I believe this is the top of the line one, whether that's the 62 or the 75. But yeah, pretty big bags, I believe. Let me have a look-see. Can't remember how many liters they are, but they're like 40 liters per bag or something like that. So they're really good. I'll have the proper descriptions of this as well in the descriptions. So inside it though, it has a, I don't know if you can see that, it has a little inner flap that you can put different things in. There's different compartments in that, so you can put your ID or if you wanted to in there. I'm going to keep mine up in the front bag like I already talked about. But yeah, overall I would say out of 5 stars I'd probably give them a 4, which is solid. So yeah. I'll also be using an assortment of dry bags. This is one I used on the trip. It's just a Mountain Equipment Co-op 5-liter bag. Oh, sorry, 10-liter bag. And it held up pretty well. It doesn't have a purge valve like I usually like to use on my dry bags. But inside these, I'll keep like my chair, and if I have a foam roll up for sleeping, like a memory foam, I'll put that in there. Other dry bags will have like food and that stuff in it. Again, with my new bag system and not pulling the trailer, it's all going to be an evolution as to where things go, ever evolving as to what works the best. I'm going to try and work that all out before I leave for my trip through the winter and early spring. But yeah, so there'll be other dry bags involved. I've got a couple more on order. So I'll review all this new stuff as I'm on my trip and posting videos. So dry bags are a pretty important part of it though, for sure. And that pretty much wraps it up for bags. There's some other bags and cases that go with the different electronic stuff, but I'll show you that as I do the electronic stuff. But again, all these new bags I'll keep reviewing as I'm using them. So if you're interested, just follow along. If you have any questions about the bags I talked about that I didn't cover, which I'm sure there is, just comment, send me a comment, ask me a question in the comments, and I'll definitely get back to you. Thanks. So yeah, let's go over the sleeping and cooking stuff. So I'll take the time to go over my tent and everything I use for sleeping, and then what I use to cook and basically the kitchen stuff. So I'm going to start with the tent. I will be using for next season the Eureka Midori 1. So it's a solo or one-person tent. I haven't used it yet, but all reviews look great on it. I'll put a picture of it set up while I'm going through this, but there's really not much I can say about it because I haven't used it yet. But it's a three-season tent, basically enough room for you and a few things inside it. But as you can see, it's nice and small and compact. I was using a Woods Expedition 2-person tent that I got from Canadian Tire, and in all honesty, I didn't like it at all. It's not a good tent for people that are doing what I'm doing. It's not a quick set tent, so if it's about to rain or it is raining, the fly itself has like 16 stake downs on it. So I do not recommend it for bike packing or touring. It's big. The decision to get that was not a good one, so I'm not going to get into that. But the reviews on the Eureka Midori will come as I use it. So I'll get into my sleeping bag next. The sleeping bag I was using on my trip was a North Face Mercurial liner bag. So it's a 3-season bag, and I'm going to use it next year too. It's a good bag. It does what it's supposed to. It wouldn't be the greatest in winter, but it's not made for that. So Excellent sleeping bag. I've had this for about 4 or 5 years actually, so no complaints on the sleeping bag. If I'm going to do any colder weather camping, I will definitely have to get a different bag, but for 3 season, this bag does perfectly well. Last year I was using the Thermarest neoair, and I've had it actually for a couple seasons. My thoughts on the Thermarest neoair is it's well made and it is a good product, but it's not good for me. I have neck and back problems, as well as some issues with arthritis in my hips. So I tend to actually be a side sleeper because of my back, and this is not, in my opinion, good for someone that is a side sleeper. I'm going to be trying some other systems. I might be trying the Thermarest cot. I'm not sure yet. It is $250, so I have to make sure. Maybe get it ahead of time, try it out. But yeah, I'm going to be trying some new systems next year. This didn't work for me, and sleeping, just getting some solid hours of sleep is key to everything really. So I'm going to be trying some new stuff out. But if you don't have any back issues and you're looking for something somewhat compact and light, it's a pretty good product. Durability wise, it's held up great. So I definitely recommend it if you don't have any back problems. My pillow I use is a Mountain Equipment Deluxe pillow. So it has a little foam inside, but it's inflatable. So you can inflate it to kind of the firmness you want. Excellent product. I got it from Mountain Equipment Co-op, obviously, and highly recommend it. This is just a piece of memory foam that I was using on the trip last year, as well as the neoair, but it didn't really help that much. So I probably won't be using this going forward, although I may use it if I do get the cot. So we'll see what happens. Again, this is what it is. It did what it's supposed to. So, you know, for a $10 piece of foam, it did what it's supposed to. So that basically kind of makes up the sleeping stuff. There's really not much more to go through in that. When I set up camp, the neoair takes probably about 2 or 3 minutes to inflate, and that's another reason I kind of want to go away from it. They do make things you can attach to it, and it'll inflate it for you, and I am going to look into getting one of those. But when I get the new sleep system, whatever it may be, there is a couple other air mattresses that I'm looking at as well. I'll let you know, and I'll give my review on that as we go. So next I'm going to do the kitchen stuff. So I might as well start with the star of the show, and that is my Jetboil Mini Mo. So there's different sizes, this being more for solo backpacking. They do make a bigger one. If you're 2 person or more, you definitely would want to get the bigger one. This costs about $250. This is a gas stove, and you will see in the beginning of this video me lighting it, so that gives you an idea what it looks like all set up. It would be accompanied with a gas can, so you can get larger ones. And everything that you need for the stove is inside this part of the stove, the igniter and everything. So it's very compact, and it will fit in the Salsa dry bags that I was showing that go on the front on the Salsa Anything cage. If I have to recommend something, like I said, I think I already mentioned, this is about $250. But out of all my favorite things that I own, equipment-wise, this is definitely one of them. I've had this for 2 solid seasons, and it's never failed me once, like no issues. The beauty thing about this stove is, with most stoves, it's basically full blast or nothing. It's really hard not to burn things. So this one, you can bring it down right to a very, very low simmer. It's really actually good to cook with, so especially if you're using a frying pan on it or anything like that. So highly recommend the Jetboil products for sure. Another key piece of the equipment from the trip, as any coffee drinker would tell you, was my GSI French press. Pretty basic, right? It's all plastic. The plunger and stuff, there's actually a coffee mug, the plunger and everything is inside here. And it's really good. It actually works better than some home systems, except that it's not that big. They do make a bigger version of this, and I'm probably going to get that for the canoe trip I'm going to do with the boys in the spring that I've already talked about. Or I'm going to be talking about actually at the end of this video. So yeah, excellent. I've had this for 2 seasons, and if you're a coffee drinker, it's a great product for sure. So next I'll talk about the other things for cooking, pots and pans. So I did have this little frying pan here, but I am going to be replacing it. Not positive yet. I'm looking at a couple different frying pans. Probably be slightly bigger than this, because this is also very small, not really useful for too much. So Can't even remember where I got it, probably Canadian Tire, but it's a pretty cheap piece of equipment and it will be getting replaced, and I'll let you guys know what I replaced it with. Next up is this pot. So it's a collapsible pot. I got it from Canadian Tire. I do like the system, so I think I'll probably be getting a different version of this. Nothing to knock, this is the Woods product. It looks good, but it's already showing signs of failing. You can kind of see this, how this is separating like that. The nice thing about it is it does go good with the jet boil system. So it wasn't really cheap for kind of how it looks like it's not going to hold up. It was about $60, I think. But there are other companies that make different versions of these where they kind of nest inside each other, so you have different sizes. One's a bowl and then your pot. So I think I'll probably be switching that, but I definitely recommend any of the collapsible stuff if space is an issue at all. So the lid just goes back on and it's that small. I used it for 3/4 of my trip last year. It's still together, but like I said, it's showing signs of being a little rickety. So I'm going to replace this, and I'll let you know what to replace it with and how it works out. Alright, so I'll just kind of go over and show you a couple different things that I use that are kind of part of just the everyday to-day life on the road. So one thing I really like is my Goal Zero. It's called a Crush Light Chroma. It has 3 different just regular white light settings, and then if you want you can double press it and do a couple other things, and you get about 7 or 8, maybe up to 10 different colored lights: red, blue, yellow, green. I don't really use that feature. I think that's more for car camping. If you get a few of them, you could probably have a cool ambient light at your camp at night. But it's USB chargeable and it's solar chargeable, so it's a really good product. If you keep it on the low setting, I think you get like 30 hours of charge time where you can use it. Definitely like this. I use this every night in camp, hang it from the ceiling of the tent. It just gives you a real comfortable kind of light. I don't get sketched out at nighttime in the woods, but there are times where it's really dark and it doesn't, it's kind of nice to have that little bit of comfort. So another really important piece of equipment, especially when I'm more on rail trails and out in the wilderness, is my water purification system. So this is a Katadyn Be Free, the 1 liter version. Excellent product. You just fill this reservoir up with water, and it's got a filter that's built into here. Water filters through it, and you can drink it right out of this. Obviously an important piece of equipment. We all know how important water is, so highly recommend it. Works really well. I've had this for 2 seasons, and everything seems to be working good. I think they do make a bigger bladder, and I think I might look into getting that, but 1 liter is not bad. Next piece of equipment that hopefully you never have to use is the first aid equipment. I'm not going to get into a ton of that. It is a first aid equipment made for 2 people. I got it at Canadian Tire. If you're in the United States, that's just a store here in Canada, kind of like Home Depot. So another thing I like to use on the trip is Nalgene products. Just different containers, some for liquids, some for spices and stuff like that. They don't hold odor. They're waterproof, spill-proof, and all that stuff. Highly recommend them. They're a great hiking, camping, any outdoor type of use. They're really good for. I got all this stuff at Mountain Equipment Co-op, which again, if you're in the States, would be like REI. And then just a few other things that we use. Saw, obviously for campfires and stuff like that. I will be getting a small hatchet and probably a different saw. This is just a Canadian Tire one. I'll probably be getting a Silky Saw brand, and everything I've heard, they're great. This is a latrine trowel, and it's exactly what it sounds like. If you poop in the woods, you take care of it. Another thing that I didn't actually use on my trip last year was the original bug shirt. So this is what it sounds like again. It's a full jacket with a hood, and it's got mesh on the front, and it fully zips up. So when you get into black fly country or heavy mosquito country, this could save your butt for sure. I don't know if everybody has experience with black flies, but if you get into real heavy black fly infestation, their bites are pretty bad, and if you get bitten enough, it can really make you sick, and that can ruin a vacation really quick. So while they're not the most comfortable in really hot weather, I'd rather be sweating than getting bit. So the original bug shirt. I got this at Mountain Equipment Co-op, I believe, as well. I'm not going to open this up, but this is just a bag full of paracord, and that's just for tying tarps. I don't have a tarp right now, so I can't show you what I'm going to be using, but I will be getting a tarp for next season, and there's probably about 2 kilometers of paracord in here, so they come in handy for almost anything. If something strap breaks on the bike or anything like that, you can use it for that, but really mainly beneficial for tying down tarps, or if a rope happened to break on your tent, you could replace it with a section of this as well. And these are the straps I use to tie the tent down to the front of my bike. I should have covered that when I was going over that stuff, but they're called Titan straps. I was looking for some more of these to get the longer length ones of these. I couldn't find any around, so I don't know if they stopped making them, but there are other versions that look just like this. Again, I've had these, they probably got about 7,000 kilometers on them, and they're still perfectly good. The only thing that's happened is they've faded a bit, which that's not important at all. So they do come in black, but black wasn't available, or I would have gotten, then you've gotten that, and then you don't have to worry about them fading at all. So then just a couple other little things. This is actually a mosquito net that just goes over your head and shoulders. So if you don't want to get into the full bug jacket or don't have time, you can just throw this on. Excellent product. I haven't used this yet neither, but it will come in handy when I do. And then just knives and stuff like that. This is just a cheap one I bought at Canadian Tire last year. Literally like 10 bucks, but it actually works pretty good. I will be getting a better knife though, down the road, a one-piece non-folding knife, just for doing firewood processing and stuff like that at camp at night. So again, just a outbound brand. I got it at Canadian Tire as well. And then last but not least, seating. This is a chair that I actually was given to me when I was on my trip when I was in Saskatchewan at Guapel, and met Colleen and Dale, and they gave me this actually because I decided not to bring a chair last year, even though I had a similar tripod one like this. I was thinking of getting another one. I'm not sure yet. They make really light ones that are made out of like tent poles. So I'm thinking of getting those, but I'm not sure, to be honest with you. This one I like is a lot because it's a little taller than off the ground than my old tripod chair. And with my back problems, not being squatted down too much is key. So yeah, this is just a, I believe it's a Quicksilver, but I'm not positive. But it's just a basic folding chair that you can get at Canadian Tire, Home Depot, any of those places. So it seems to work well. Alright, so that takes care of the living stuff, shelter and cooking. So if you have any questions about any of this stuff, feel free to ask me. Thanks. Just to kind of give a quick overview of what I'm trying to do with my channel and stuff like that. So those of you that know me know that I'm 51. So I'm not trying, I've kind of had a few people when I talk about my YouTube channel, I can kind of see the look on their face, kind of almost like, what's a 51-year-old man doing trying to get a YouTube channel? But I'm not thinking that I'm going to make 6 figures or be a millionaire from this or become a YouTube star or sensation. It's more a hobby that I'm hoping maybe I can make a few bucks from. If I could once a year make enough for my YouTube channel to fly somewhere for a trip and it's paid, the airfare's paid for from YouTube once a year, that would be great. Obviously everybody has bigger aspirations, and maybe one of my videos goes viral and I do better than I think. But right now I'm being realistic and I'm just trying to have a little fun with this, figure out a way maybe I can make a few extra bucks going forward, since I didn't set myself up to retire, and I'm not going to have that luxury. So maybe this could be just a little extra, bonus type thing. So if you are watching and you haven't subscribed, it would really mean a lot to me if you did subscribe. If you know anybody you think might be interested in this type of thing, let them know and tell them to jump on board. I have a big summer planned. In the spring, I'm going to Algonquin Park with my cousin Bill and Jay and my good buddy Ron. So for 2 weeks almost. So that should be a really good videos that I'm put out for that. Again, I hope you look forward to that. That's kind of why I didn't call my channel anything to do just cycling related, because I want to do other things, hiking, cycling, canoeing, skydiving, whatever, right? So Yeah, so if you like what you see, I'd really appreciate it if you subscribe, and if you already have, when you're watching, please hit the like button and throw a quick comment. Just say hi, or hey Dean, your videos are like watching paint dry. But yeah, so this video is kind of a different one. It's a bike review one. I had a few people, bike and gear review one, and I did have a few people ask me for it. So I hope I did an okay job. This kind of part of it, standing in front of the camera and doing things more rehearsed, is new to me. So hope it wasn't too monotonous. And if you have any questions about anything I talked about, feel free to contact me in the comments, and I will 100% answer your questions. So I hope everybody has a great new year, and here's to an amazing 2021. Thanks.